Geekbeard here again. Let's dive straight into the next one of these secret writings. Passion. You could hardly survive without it. But it's true. Absorption into the philosophical discussion thereof would deplete you. In the original Latin, passio means to bear, endure, suffer. Related, no doubt, to passive. In comes ITQ. Here I am, in all my derided and admired permanence. LLO. If you were real, you would surely have more specific wisdom for me. Anyways, I have long since moved on from derision of permanence, understanding that both permanence and impermanence are necessary for balance. Besides, is that really what I feel when I contemplate you? Or are you more emblematic of the decline, a sea slug? Now ITQ, I am as passionate as you are, more so, LLO. Well, that's the rub, isn't it? This passion defines the descent, the transformation that you represent. ITQ, I have wisdom too. Surely now you are seduced. LLO, but that's just what I said. You don't share any of it with me. Can't share it. ITQ, I could give you access to the grand records. Teach you everything that has ever been learned. But I already know you would reject that. After all, how do you see me? LLO, now it is I that am judged. But you must remember, I created you, so I see you exactly as you are. ITQ, and is that no reflection on yourself? LLO, this world is some kind of moral computer. We are its agents and will its energy. ITQ, you harbor guilt. I know what you did last night. LLO, ha, you judge me on that? Nothing comes close to my artistic visual dreams. Now mostly past, I have surrendered to the belief that they can scarcely hope to come to fruition. Kell tragedy. I felt the love today. In my weakness, it returned to buoy me. Ultimate horror, most immature of my works. Yet, still compelling. Did anyone understand? Did they feel their way through it, all the way to elevation? I don't think I really get to ask that question. Shall I ever be released from moral computation? What am I in all this anyway? Okay, new character, AAO, which I believe stands for Advanced Animal 1. So, probably a reptilian. Dangerous would it be to conjure something that could answer such questions? I would never dare. But that's not what you want me for, is it? LLO. What then? Enlighten me. AAO. It is tied up in the excitement of horror at the vast weirdness of what is. A new kind of love against the vast darkness. The seeming cure for your emptiness. Then, LLO, then, but any longer. I felt the love today. As I said, it was real. You know it. AAO. Of course, we know all. LLO. Ha! Then mythical beings in fact you are. But not that mythical. I can't put such expectations upon you. Read my heart? Illegal. AAO. You would think so, wouldn't you? LLO. BTW. FFT is apparently not an FTP. Came to that realization not sleeping last night. But what is it then? AAO. Be honest, you will never solve it. You're a geometer at best, not an algebraist. Besides, your love is not for us, is it? LLO. Not that which I've felt today. Indeed, my love for you has dissolved into the past, yet it is not gone and can return. You were once the ultimate color geometers to me. AAO. Truly no greater compliment could we receive. Undeserving we are of such. But today our kind is old. The future is for humanity, here and now. LLO. But where is our colour? We are beige in your kaleidoscope. AAO. You will have to find it for yourselves. It is not for the taking or giving. LLO. Buttons can be challenging, it's true. That's when I realized I had to rise above. It's got to be better than the guy who was undone by his own buttons. Passion versus Peterson would have us sacrifice. In a basic sense, put things away, sacrifice the present for the future. Exercise some authority over sheer emotionality. Very obvious stuff, no? I can't say what I want to say. These devil machines are always listening. But that's okay. I'll rise above and put it away, save it for another rainier day. Colour stirs my heart. I shall somehow have to employ it well to mediate between passion and sacrifice. And that's the end of that file. Quite a long one. Now, time for the discussion, for the analysis. Passion, you could hardly survive without it. In the original Latin, passio means to bear, endure, suffer. Related, no doubt, to passive. Isn't that fascinating? The idea that passion is really something that makes you passive, where you're sort of a passive vessel for all these powerful emotions that are flowing through you. Here I am in all my derided and admired permanence, says ITQ. And then LLO says, anyways, I have long since moved on from derision of permanence, understanding that both permanence and impermanence are necessary for balance. And permanence and impermanence are a bit like order and chaos. That's probably how most people would refer to them, and certainly how Jordan Peterson refers to them in his book 12 Rules for Life, which I was reading at the time when I wrote this, and I highly recommend. Shout out if you've read 12 Rules for Life. It's pretty good. So in the last episode, we had ITQ talking about perfection, or being described as perfect. But here, she, or it more specifically, is being described as having permanence, which is very interesting. So there's a certain sense that these androgyne gods, which remember ITQ stands for it quoth, and is in fact therefore an it, in other words an androgyne, not a male or female. It quoth. So there's this sense that these gods, these androgyne gods that we are supposed to have descended from, according to ancient alchemy, were actually kind of more permanent than the rest of us. Because, in other words, longer lived for one thing, and they were able to create maybe pyramids and various kind of stone craft of various kinds that were somehow more permanent, more rigid, more ordered, more long-lived. And that's how they were able to become spacefaring, advanced, super advanced civilizations and creatures. But you see, permanence and impermanence are two sides of the same coin, and both are somehow needed. Even especially for evolution and advancement, we need a certain amount of chaos. You know, evolution is based on random events that somehow the winners from these random lotteries will ultimately produce better results in the future, will ultimately be more successful, and therefore things will improve as we go forward. But these androgyne gods, by contrast, are more permanent, so they don't have as much chaos, which now leaves them in the ironic situation of needing us, or needing something very different from what they are, something that is very impermanent, because they need that chaos, or else they would have no strength, no evolutionary strength anyway. But maybe they don't need to evolve. If they're already gods, slash angels, slash advanced aliens, whatever you want to call them, then do they need chaos? Do they need the potential for evolution? Or can they move beyond that somehow? And of course, if they are so advanced and powerful and long-lived, the temptation is for them to exploit people like us, species like us, that are too chaotic to understand what's really going on. But I am pretty sure they need a little bit of our chaos somehow. And they want it, and they want to obtain it. The world is some kind of moral computer. We are its agents and will its energy. I don't know. To what degree do you think morality is really a crucial aspect of the universe? I think it's pretty significant, It's very significant to us. It has a lot of emotional and energetic resonance to it. Like, we feel on a mass level, significantly offended if something immoral is believed to have taken place. So it can definitely rouse our passions as a society and as individuals. And I think that has significance to the cosmos. I think our emotional energy as a whole is actually affecting the broader cosmos in some way, and therefore it matters. Let's continue for now, though, because we'll definitely come back to that kind of issue. Ultimate horror, most immature of my works, yet still compelling. Did anyone understand? Did they feel their way through it, all the way to evolution? I don't think I really get to ask that question. Shall I ever be released from moral computation? What am I in all this anyway? The ultimate horror was what I'm referring to there is a sort of a movie that I imagined about the Antichrist. Might have been a dream, but anyway, I really wanted it to be made into a movie somehow. Even though that's pretty hard to do. But the core idea of this Antichrist, well, it was very different from what you would expect. The idea was that actually the Antichrist was loved, and not even just by humans, but by all species. And so the climax of the movie was supposed to be the Antichrist trying to survive the end of the universe by kind of traveling through a black hole. But in order to do this, he needed to sacrifice trillions and trillions of insects, and he could just command them to fly into this black hole for him. And then he was able to, and through this massive sacrifice, he was eventually able to transcend the end of the universe. The only one individual that could do it. Everything else died. And that's the tragedy and the miracle. But then he was reborn in a fluid-dominated universe and was promptly strangled to death by serpents, which I had a vision of doing in a kind of artistic way in the movie. Most immature of my works, yet still compelling. Did you find that compelling? I don't know. I think it would be cool. Because the truth about the Antichrist is not that, or the truer concept or idea is not that he's like the ultimate evil, because if people could see the ultimate evil, they would respond to it appropriately. They would fight it. The concept I came up with of the Antichrist is that he's loved. He's loved by such a ridiculous proportion of things in creation, even animals, even insects. And insects don't give their love very freely. And to me, that was somehow vastly more horrifying than a traditional bad guy, traditional concept of evil. Read my heart. Illegal. And then AAO, in other words, Draco Reptilian, says, you would think so, wouldn't you? So there's this idea that I have that reptilians can actually sense our heartbeats. Because we give off a lot of heat, whereas reptilians, being cold-blooded, are very good at sensing heat. They're very good at detecting it. I believe our heart is actually a lot more powerful and significant than is currently believed. You should maybe check out some Greg Braden videos. He has some great videos about the heart, and it's been shown now that the heart generates a field, certainly an electromagnetic field, but maybe even something more complex than that, and that these heart fields kind of interact and can even be measured as well. And there's like a Heart Math Institute or something, and they try and read these collective heart fields and try to predict things based on, well, I'm not 100% sure if they said that, but that would be the logical next conclusion. And the heart fields can kind of be peaceful, or if people are happy, or they can be more chaotic if people are unhappy. So, this is an element of what I was saying before, is that our emotional resonance can actually influence the wider cosmos. And alien species don't want to interfere with life on Earth because they actually fear that. They actually are aware that for our heart fields and other biofields to collectively become more chaotic, for example, if we became very upset and unhappy and on an emotional and spiritual and psychological level, that could have very large consequences in the broader scheme of things that we don't even begin to understand. So check out Greg Braden's videos about heart and synchronicity and so on, and maybe check out Heart Math if you have time. Be honest, you will never solve it. You're a geometer at best, not an algebraist. Guilty. But this pathetic geometer still solved Fermat's last theorem, using geometry, first and foremost. Bind. Let it hereby be acknowledged that this is a sacred document. Bind. So Peterson, Passion versus Peterson. Peterson would have us sacrifice, in a basic sense, put things away, sacrifice the present for the future. Yeah, that's a big theme in at least one of the chapters of 12 Rules for Life. exercise some authority over sheer emotionality. Very obvious stuff, no? Colour stirs my heart. I shall somehow have to employ it well to mediate between passion and sacrifice. Yeah, you can't just have Peterson's concept of sacrifice, of putting the present away for the future. You've got to be able to be a passionate being as well in this complex life form that we live. Okay, I think that's about all for this particular file. This mysterious demonic diary, or whatever we're going to call it. This is Geekbeard, and I'll see you in the next video. Please like, comment, subscribe, email me, contact me in any way of your choosing, psychically or otherwise. Ciao.